Hi, and welcome to Knitting Step by Step, the video podcast that's been teaching you how to knit. I'm your host, Jason Block.
And I'm your knitting instructor, Ivy Reisner.
And this is episode 10, Review, Recap, and the Sock. This is going to tell you what we've done so far, and we're going to tell you that you guys have already done the work to get to the next project, Project 4, the sock. Now, you guys should have been, by this point, either finished with or in the process of the following 3 projects: the garter knit scarf, the hat, and the mittens. You've done all the work. And guys, congratulations for getting this far. Now, we've got so many things to remind you of. First of all, before we do that, a shout out to David Weedy and our friends down under at Sticks and String. That is a knitting podcast from Australia who gave us a very positive review on their last show. You can get their feed through iTunes, through their hobby section. You can put their name Sticks and String through their search box, and you can find them there. And the link will be in the show notes.
I'll have a link in the show notes, and he puts together a really fun podcast. You're going to like it.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy, and shout out to you guys. Hopefully we can get down there someday. Next, our voice line, 206-309-7182. That's 206-309-7182. We've been neglecting that particular aspect of our contact process, but we want questions, we want answers, we want suggestions for what, it's an interactive podcast. We don't just talk to you guys, we want to hear from you guys, because that particular voice line will allow us to tell us what we've been doing wrong, what we've been doing right, and what suggestions you have, any questions you have for that. Now, again, we have the Knitting Step by Step website, which is knittingstepbystep.com. We have the Facebook link, which is, you go to facebook.com, search groups, there'll be a Knitting Step by Step group. You can contact us there. I think we got everything, no?
Nope. We've also got a wiki. And if you have any questions with any of the techniques that we've done so far, and you want to see text descriptions with pictures, you want to see additional videos, the link will be on the knittingstepbystep.com website. It's a wiki with everything we've done so far.
Okay, so I think we've got all our house cleaning done. Whew, that is a lot. So, now since we are going into our second decade of episodes, which is 10 per se, we're going to start a new project, Project 4, the sock. You've told me on many occasions, socks are unlike any other knitting project in the knitting universe. Why?
Socks can attract an obsessive type of knitting fans. People love socks like they love no other kind of knitting. There's a Yahoo group called Sock Knitters. I'm going to have a link to that in the show notes. Fantastic people that talk about socks. There are sock of the month clubs. There is just a real fascination with socks.
Now, why is that? I mean, there are different projects that you can knit: sweaters, gloves, scarves. Why specifically the obsession with socks?
For one thing, socks are as meaty as a sweater. A pair of socks will have about as many stitches as a sweater, but they stay small. So they are the ultimate in portable projects. Number 2, because they're so small, they don't take a lot of material, and you can use luxury fibers you might not otherwise be able to use.
Such as?
Cashmere, alpaca, kivet, silk, all sorts of wonderful things. Socks are also good for learning new techniques because they are fairly small. You can play with lace, you can play with fair isle work, you can play with beads, you can play with all sorts of things. Socks are a great place to experiment. Also, socks are a great place to be funky. If your dress style is normally fairly conservative and maybe very professional or businesslike, you can still wear kind of a goofy pair of socks, and if they're under your pants or under your jeans, they're sort of a secret bit of geeky funk.
And you also said that sometimes if you wear a funky sweater, people will look at you differently because it's on the outside. Sort of a funky sock is sort of within yourself. For me, and I think you knit me a pair of socks once. Don't remember. I've known you a long time, but I don't remember if you did or not. But I remember they're incredibly comfortable. They have this sense of comfort that no other project really has. I think that may be a reason why socks have this obsession that a lot of people, that different projects don't have per se.
Yeah, a lot of people who are fans of sock knitting will tell you that a good hand-knit pair of socks will fit in a way that no store-bought socks ever could. They are far more comfortable. And that's largely because when they're machine constructed, there has to be a sewn seam. When they're hand constructed, the toe is just grafted. It's all very smooth and wonderful.
Okay, so we've talked about why socks are so prevalent within the knitting community and why this is going to be a very, very interesting and, as you said, sometimes obsessive project. There are many techniques of how to cast or at least construct socks. Let's start with the first one, toe down. What does that mean?
Toe down is the most common way to knit socks, and what that means is you're starting at the calf and you're working down to the toe. The two big advantages of this: one, you get a true heel flap, which makes for a nicer heel to the sock, and two, it's generally easier to cast on loosely as opposed to binding off loosely, and you really need that edge that goes over your calf to be loose. That is critical, or your sock won't fit right.
Repeat that tip again.
The edge that goes over your calf, which is going to be your cast-on edge for a toe-down sock, or your bind-off edge for a toe-up sock, has got to be loose.